Welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who is currently wearing a massive hat. It's John Levingood.
Well, I mean, doesn't that make sense for your general, peripheral vision if you're operating a helicopter?
I mean, you are wearing a gigantic hat. Sombrero-esque
one
hat.
of those ridiculous, sombreros they give you on your birthday at those offensive Mexican restaurants.
Now, you're not wearing a Norm Macdonald big hat like an SNL Jeopardy. That's just funny. You are wearing, it's, what's funny about, all right, so we're going to be talking about The Thing. It's our 250th episode, John. Can you believe it?
Yep, and for any listeners who are just chiming in, that's The Thing 1982.
Yeah, not The Thing 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Now, every 25th episode, we cover a Kurt Russell film. So our last one was Tombstone. The one before it was Soldier. Now we're on Thing. And this is a big boy. This is a big boy Kurt Russell. I'm not saying there's little guy Kurt Russell movies. I'm just saying
this is fair, because 100 episodes or more ago, we would talk about which Kurt Russell episode to do next. And we were kind of, at the time, intimidated by the prospect of approaching The Thing.
Yeah, I think it's one of those movies that I think it's been covered a lot, right? And you and I, we like to cover Captain Ron. We like to cover Soldier, the lesser known Russell pictures.
Right.
And I think we had to get this out of the way. And you bought a great big hat for it. And did you know that Kurt Russell didn't even know about the hat? They filmed some second unit stuff, and then he got stuck with the hat. And there's a really funny scene where they're at the alien spaceship, and during the commentary, it's Kurt Russell and John Carpenter, and Kurt Russell's like, you can't hear any of the dialogue. You just look at the hat. He's like, the hat is the main character in this scene. But I appreciate that you're wearing it, man. You look great. You're wearing the hat. You know what I mean? You're wearing it.
10-gallon Dallas hat.
It's not wearing you, John. Does that make sense?
I mean, some people think the hat makes the man, but I like to think the man makes the hat.
No, yeah. That's you know what, John? That's perfect, because you don't look self-conscious in it. I could see you walking down the street, and people wouldn't be like, check out this guy who wants attention. People would be like, check out this guy. He's doing it.
I'm a large guy. I need a large hat.
You would inspire at least 3 people to consider or buy the same hat because you pulled it off. You're pulling it off so well.
Now I want to get this hat for the next convention that I attend.
You're rocking it, man. You're doing it. You could grow the beard out, but we haven't been planning for this for a year. It took Russell, a year to grow out that beard, which seems, I feel like Kurt Russell shaves and he grows the beard the next day like Santa Claus. So I don't really buy that it only took him a year to grow that beard.
Or like Kirsten Dunst in Interview with a Vampire. Like you cut it and it just grows right back.
Yeah, exactly. It's just shaved back. So he said it took him a year to grow that beard. Now, John, before we get going into The Thing, 1982, should we say The Thing 1982 every time, or just the Thing?
I just want to throw that out up front. I think we have some loyal listeners who just download the next episode and it might say The Thing. And if you're a young listener, you might be like, oh, right, that thing with Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Tormund Giantsbane.
Joel Edgerton.
Right.
And the guy from Dumb and Dumber.
We're just not talking about that, and maybe one day we will, but that's not this episode.
Now, all right, I have a question, John. This is a really random question, but I was watching this movie, and I got the Scream Factory Blu-ray of this film, which has a load of commentaries. It is a 50-minute interview with the cast, and they were talking about it, and this guy was saying, at the time, in 1982, The Thing did not do well. It opened 2 weeks after E.T., and so that was still eating up all the multiplexes. And this was in 1982, this is Ebert called it a barf bag of a movie. I mean, this is a bleak, dogs get Twinkie syrup spit at them. Dogs people just get murdered, and there's humor in it. There's humor to be found, but there's very little humor. And the humor is kind of gallows humor at a certain point. But yeah, so a lot of people didn't get into this movie in 82. The reviews weren't too kind. Now it's looked at as an absolute classic. But I was thinking about this, John, and we covered on this briefly during our 60-second or less character podcast, which is still one of my favorites that we've ever done. It just makes me so happy whenever I see those characters. But John, any 3 movies ever made, you could be a supporting character in them. Not like a main supporting role, but like a Fuchs from this movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any 3 movies ever made, you could be a character in. Which 3 movies? And I have my 3 if you want me to like.
Oh God. What an ambush. Ladies and gentlemen, I did not see this coming.
Yeah. And so
okay.
I basically blindsided you like The Thing did to a lot of these people.
Okay. The Fifth Element.
Ooh. What would you want to be in that movie?
Maybe part of Chris Tucker's entourage.
Nice.
Maybe one of the supportive military personnel under captain, starts with an M. That guy who always plays the bad guys who recruited Bruce Willis for the mission. Maybe one of his subordinates or someone in the lab when they first put Lilu together.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the. But either way, I think that would be a great movie to be a supporting character in without a high probability of dying. Because I'm thinking without a high probability of dying. See, I'm not going to say The Thing, for example. True Lies.
Oh.
I'd love to be a supporting character in True Lies, one of the people in the CIA discussion room, that kind of MI6 discussion room, maybe part of Harry Tasker's team. They all seem to get out alive all the time, despite all the danger he brings to the table. And here's the left fielder. I would like to be one of the academics investigating all the different sound waves and energy waves in the house in Poltergeist.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, but I'm picking some of my all-time favorite movies, which simplifies my choices, right? But those are where I'd aim. What about you? How would you approach this?
I have a massive list. Like, I would have loved to have been Michael Rappaport's character in Deep Blue Sea. I would have loved to have been one of the Vikings in the 13th Warrior, one of the fighters in Bloodsport, one of the baseball players in Major League, one of the football players in Replacements, one of the high school students in Dazed and Confused. Now,
I love the Replacements choice.
Now, so we'll take out The Thing because I was in The Thing, but if I took that out, I have some pretty good ones that I would swap. So you know this from our 60-second character pod. I would want to be a pilot in Star Wars: A New Hope, one of the guys who attacks it.
I almost went with the Star Wars movie, but again, I decided to choose based on low probability of death.
Because Wedge is on screen for about 7 seconds, and he's just a national treasure. So for me,
Wedge die?
No, Wedge Wedge lives. Yeah, he lives all the way through those. He's in the end dancing with Chewbacca with the Ewoks. So, but I remember I joked. I said I want to be Elvis Antilles. Like I'm an Elvis character in a cockpit. Oh, he's on me. He's gonna get me. Wait, I don't even know what accent that was. But I would just like to be a pilot that just says he's on me, and then someone's like, "Stay on target." I can't hold him. Stay on target. Are you serious? And then I'd like to be blown up. But I want to be blown up in the trench run. And I had to have a mustache. All right?
See, I don't want to be blown up.
Yeah, see, I want to get exploded. But I want to have a really long one. He's on me. Just hold on. Well, I'm trying.
But you're going to die.
Well, listen, because then I could do one of those. Like I would do a really shrill scream. So people watch it and they would be like, I still don't, like, I would be the guy that George Lucas edits in his edits to get rid of my scream. And then people do a because someone did a documentary about the stormtrooper that hit his head in A New Hope when the door didn't open all the way. So I want to be the pilot that just does the weirdest scream ever. Something like that.
Oh, wait, do you mean if you were an actor?
Yeah, an actor. So I'm in the movie.
When you said in which of these movies would you want to be a character, I thought you meant like if that was your life. And that's why I was picking things where you don't die.
Oh, so I'm making up a character. And then, George Lucas changes my scream because it was too crazy for everybody. Then I'd want to be in Die Hard.
They're going to call it the Hoffmeyer scream. They'll
instead of the Wilhelm.
Right.
Yeah, I'd want, oh, yeah. So then I want to be in Die Hard. I'd want to be one of the guys that's just one of the terrorists in it.
You're going to die.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to be, I want a turtleneck. I want a long black shirt turtleneck, right? And just running around. I get some good licks in. I'm one of the guys shooting the glass. I'm the guy that gets shot. I'm the guy that's at the front desk. How's that sound? And then I get shot.
So you know how there's the long-haired guy and his brother is Tony Vresky?
Yeah.
Right? What if there was a third brother? You could be the third brother.
Oh, man. That'd be great.
Yeah?
So
and that way two brothers, when he's pissed off and he breaks up like that kind of like concession tray, when he sees the ho, now I have a machine gun. Like, what if it was two brothers pissed off at once? You could be one of those brothers.
Oh, man. Like O'Doyle Rules type.
Right.
Just running around whomping on people. And then, you're going to like this one. I had this one. I want to be the guy in Good Will Hunting that Will Hunting says, "How do you like them apples?"
That particular guy.
Yeah. So
who looks a lot like Tony Vresky's brother.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to be that guy. And so like, hey Mark, have you ever been in movies? Yeah, you know the apple scene, and you got mail. And Good Will Hunting? Yeah, I know that scene. I was that guy. I was the how about them apples guy. So I'm the how about them apples guy. I'm one of the brothers, and then I'm the weird screaming pilot.
I maintain though that the how do you like them apples guy, that must have been the son of Tony Vresky's brother.
I like that.
Because that dude was another long-haired blonde Swede.
Yeah. So there's 4 of them.
No, there's 4, right.
But what do you think, man? I know that I sidetracked this, but I just had to talk about that because I would love to be in The Thing. The reason we went on that tangent is this movie just, it's not dying. Like, so we're recording this today, right? And my cousin today, you don't know what today is. So we're recording this, and on the day we're recording, my cousin sent me a random message saying, hey, I just bought my tickets for a 35 millimeter print to go see this, and he lives in Minneapolis. I just posted this up on Instagram. If you go to Movies, Films, and Flicks on our Instagram, they just played at the Plaza Theater. So this is a movie that, since 82, is just, it's not going anywhere. People love these characters. People love Rob Boutein's practical effects that are just so gooey and gross. They love the claustrophobia, the intelligence of it. I mean, this movie, John Carpenter, right? I listened to this interview. He said this is the hardest movie that he's ever shot. And this is an interview he filmed a couple years ago. So they went on location. They shot in LA, but they had to cool down the studio to make it look like everything was cold. I mean, this was like a really technically tough, challenging movie. And it's also, I thought it was pretty interesting that this was also John Carpenter's first major studio picture. So he kept talking about this with his cinematographer, the guy that worked with him, Dean Cunley. So Dean Cunley also worked on Escape from New York, Halloween, The Fog, those kind of movies. This was their first film at Assault on Precinct 13, Halloween, The Fog, Escape from New York. Those weren't like major motion pictures. So this one they went to Universal. They had a real budget. They had, $10 million. They had $200,000 for creature effects, which was like the most ever. But then the shooting went like 98 days. The budget jumped up to $20 million. But it's just, I don't know, man. This was the first time Carpenter had money and time to work. And he made an all-timer, I think.
You know what I think is cool? Because I didn't know any of this, right? What I think is cool about that is that it looks to me, a lot of times you give people money and then they're not being forced to be as creative, and they do the expensive, easy stuff, and then they phone in the effects or something.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I feel like most of the money went to the shots, the cinematography, the use of a helicopter and the explosions, whereas they still remained very clever, creative, and inspired on the special effects. But the special effects did not look like they came from a bloated budget. They looked like they came from being clever.
I love that you said that too, because Carpenter, both the cinematographer Dean Cunley, he worked on Halloween, dude. He went on to work on Jurassic Park, Hook, Apollo 13, he did Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3, which is pretty awesome. So he started with Halloween, and then he started shooting some of the biggest ones. But what he said was, when they got $20 million, which was a lot in 81 when they shot it, but they were still very much so an indie mindset. So they were still thinking, oh, we have this money, so we're just going to go blah, blah, blah. They still made this like a homemade picture. And you're right. They spent this on going to actual locations that were freezing in British Columbia, Alaska. They actually put the money to go do that and spend it. And they spent so much on rubber with Rob Boutein's special effects. I mean, this guy was 23 years old when he did the effects in this movie. Isn't that insane? And so, yeah. I mean, 23, and he did this. Like this is like a handmade, expensive movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, this is a movie that I guess we're going to get into it, but this is a movie that I find the word I almost want to say is flawless. And we were chatting about this before the pod, and you used the phrase perfect film. And